I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council of the City of Platteville for Tuesday, August 11th, 2015, and we will start with roll call.
Mike Den.
Here.
Barbara Doss.
Here.
Barbara Stackhausen.
Here.
Tom Knoll.
Here.
Ken Killian.
Here.
Eileen Nichols.
Here.
And Amy Seaboth Wilson. Here.
First item is consideration of the consent calendar. The following items may be approved on a single motion and vote due to their routine nature of previous discussion. Please indicate to the council president if you would prefer separate discussion and action. The first item is the July 28th, 15 regular council minutes. B is payment of bills. C, appointments to boards and commissions. I have none this evening. D is licenses, a Class A combination beer and liquor to Janet A. Cortez for the premises at 1350 East Highway 151.
1350.
And in your packet, there are 1-year or 2-year operator licenses to serve alcohol. Also, a parade permit for Platteville Dairy Days on September 12th, and a petition for Grant County Highway construction aids. Is there a motion?
Move approval of the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second that.
We
I
have a
have one
motion.
question, can I ask?
Sure, you can ask a question.
This, on the liquor license now, is this one of our liquor license? Because I didn't get to look at the whole thing, where we have to have 51% to be food?
No.
It doesn't, it's just a packaged goods?
Packaged goods.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's on the minutes, and it's the second page. And one of our citizens asked about why Brian Fritz was appointed to the RDA board and how the RDA lost $50,000 on a bad loan earlier this year. Were those things answered to him, or can they be answered now?
I don't know if there's anyone on staff that wants to respond to that, or we can make sure that Mr. Christensen gets those answers.
I looked up the RDA in our code book. It doesn't say what the requirements are as far as individuals, but there's a state statute which is listed 66.1333 Part 3. So I don't know if that's pertinent or not. Anyway, that's my question.
I think I'll ask the city manager to follow up on that, if you would, please, Karen.
Sure.
Okay. Is that all right, Ken?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just trying to find out the qualifications for RDA.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Den.
Yes.
Doss.
Yes.
Stackhausen.
Yes.
Knoll.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is citizens' comments, observations, and petitions. We have 2 people who have asked to speak this evening. The first is David Nevins regarding UWP Welcome Weekend. We do ask you to limit yourself to 5 minutes if you.
Obviously, we've had dealings together, so that's why she said that, 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk briefly and just bring you up to date, as I always do at this time of year, about Welcome Weekend at UW Platteville, and give you some information. On each of your desks, you received the Welcome Back poster. That is for the band, and we will talk about the band momentarily. But I want to talk to you about a couple other things, just so that you are all aware. And Chief McKinley and others have been working with this, so we are aware of, I want you all aware of everything that's going on. For example, Saturday the 29th, that is move-in day. Saturday, August the 29th is move-in day. It would be a very bad idea for you to be around campus between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on that Saturday. You just don't want to be driving there. I'm just trying to give you a heads up. A lot of things that are happening in some of the events, as you always know. I come and invite the city of Platteville to some of our events, because it's not only about UW Platteville, it's about us, that whole town and gown relationship that we all strive for. That first day on Saturday, please understand that late in the day, we will be here across the road at the city park. Was that me? Across the road at City Park, and literally businesses from that are involved with the Chamber of Commerce and all the businesses up and down Main Street. We throw a big party for the students, so we will have 1,200, 1,300 students on Main Street and in that park that day, taking part in a scavenger hunt. It's just an opportunity for them to see some of the businesses on Main Street and see some of the businesses that we have here in Platteville, and it's very welcoming. The big thing that happens on Saturday, the next day, there's a couple of things, is the stadium party. That goes from 6:30 until 9:30, and of course everyone is invited over to the stadium. There will be inflatables, there will be food vendors, there will be all kinds of things. And then we start talking about what do we actually do, for our home football games? What do we do during kickoffs? What do we do during home basketball games? Trying to get the new students in particular connected to us. So that's happening. Also that evening at 10 o'clock, we work with the Platteville Fire Department. That's where we do the ball drop. If none of you have ever seen the ball drop, I encourage you to go. It is simply an amazing event. We buy one Super Ball that's lighted for every new student. The Platteville Fire Department comes with a ladder truck. They take it up 5 or so stories and they drop them all, and it's just an amazing sight because we turn off all the lights in the parking lot and then the lighted balls are bouncing everywhere. It is really an awesome thing. Students love it. And of course everyone's welcome to come to that as well. Monday the 31st of August, that is one of those big events that we like to invite people to. It's our we have an outdoor movie this year. We are showing Jurassic Park, and then that's also our local pizza sampler. So Domino's and Pizza Hut and Steve's and all the local pizza suppliers are there. We invite them to campus with one caveat, and that is this: they need to bring enough pizza to feed 900. And they all do, because we will end up with 1,500 or 1,600 students and community members at that event. It's an outdoor movie. It's very exciting. Later that night, we do some stuff at the bowling alley. We do some stuff out at the Millennium Cinema as well. Tuesday is also, I may be off the day, but I want to talk to you about Pioneers Pay It Forward. That is our community service project. And was that on Tuesday? Okay, good. We take about 100 students who sign up in advance, and we work closely with, and it could be, in years past, we've been to Memorial Park. We've done things just around the community. It's literally a community action day for us, and that's sponsored by Jimmy John's here in town, along with Quick Trip. They are the ones that help us make that happen. And now the one thing that you've all been really interested in is the Welcome Back concert. The Welcome Back concert this year, just like every year, is on Labor Day. This year, for your information, it is a rock concert. In years past, we've done a lot of different things. This year, we have 2 rock bands that are coming in. The first is 1,000 Foot Crutch. And obviously, looking around the room, you all know who they are. And the second band is Blackstone Cherry. And once again, I can tell from your faces, you know Tom's the only one in the back, apparently, who knows who they are. Actually, they are really great bands. They really are. Students will love them. Tickets are on sale right now. It is a ticketed event. We're up somewhere near 1,000 tickets sold already, so it's going very, very well. Wanted you to be aware of that because it is Labor Day. We've worked with all the powers that we need to be, just because it's noisy, it's loud. The shows, 1,000 Foot Crutch will start at 8 o'clock, and the other band will begin at about 9 o'clock. We'll be done probably 10:15-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. It is going to be outside. We rented a covered stage this year, so it's going to be outside on the west lawn and just outside the Marquee Pioneer Student Center, so it's right in the middle of campus. We will once again do letters to all of our neighbors, inviting them to the shows and letting them know that it's happening. Those of you who live in town, you can probably sit on your porches and listen if you'd like. That's it. That's a welcome weekend, and after that, do you have any questions? I'd be happy to answer, well, maybe one question. We'll see.
I have the same question as last year. What time will the sound stop? 10:15?
We're shooting for 10:15, absolutely. If by chance, yes. I'm just going to tell you 10:15 because that's what we're shooting for, and it really has more to do with that 10:15. I'm including even like an encore, Okay, so in theory, we should be done around 10 o'clock. But I'm trying to hedge my bet and tell you 10:15 so that if it goes to 10:12, I'm still safe.
Okay.
You can come to my house, Ken.
Well, my house is quite well insulated, so.
All right. Well, you can come to the show, Ken. That
I'm gonna listen.
Any
It's-
other questions? Sounds like an exciting event.
it is. It's and I appreciate all that you do and all that the businesses here in town do to welcome our students, because it really is about getting them connected to Platteville and UW Platteville, and I appreciate all that you do. So thank you all very much. Okay.
Thank you. Stone Cottage event. Arlene.
Where's the, I wonder if I'm.
Arlene Sis, 130 North Hickory Street. I was just sharing the information is that the university students do come and help us at the Stone Cottage to get ready, you know, to clean up and do all the things, and they do some awesome things. But today I'm here to talk about our next event, which is going to be this coming Sunday. And we're starting a little bit differently for time. We're going to be starting at noon because we will have a lunch and pie and ice cream type of thing to kick off the day. So I've got one of these for all of you. Ooh, this is noisy.
You gotta move it away from this.
Okay. Still not the best. Sounds better. Anyway, we have a lot of things going on. We have some music going on. We have some students who are going to be making, trying to make things that look like the Stone Cottage. And so this is a perfect thing for families of all ages and students and adults. So far this summer, we've had a pretty good turnout, and we're very happy about that because our goal is to open up the Stone Cottage so people understand how important it is, but that we're doing things all the time for families. And I think this is one excellent thing that is going on. So hopefully some of you can come again and take advantage of this event too, because it is different than the other two. So thanks so much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the only citizens' comments I have. Next item is reports. We have board, commission, committee reports, plan commission. Dan or Nichols, anything to add?
Dad?
I have nothing to add. Other reports in your packet, the city attorney itemized report for July. Department progress reports are also in the packet, and
One question
you have a question, all right?
for Luke Peters. It says submitted our final paperwork for the urban forestry grant. What is the grant for? What is the amount of grant request? Is it a matching grant? So what can you tell me?
This was the forestry grant that we received from Wisconsin DNR for our storm recovery. It was not a matching grant. However, we did not receive the full amount we were asking, which was $50,000. We received $19,000, and we spent it to the exact dollar. So we have submitted that for reimbursement.
So this is getting reimbursement of the 19.
Yes.
Okay. I thought it was a new grant beyond the 19.
I included that as well. I have done another grant for with an energy company for additional trees, and I'm hoping to receive word back on that. I may have misinterpreted what you were asking, so I apologize.
But that you include also as an urban forestry grant.
Yes,
How much is that for?
I requested $5,000, which
Okay.
was the maximum amount allowed.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on department progress reports? We do have a couple of additions here that staff would like to report on. Howard first.
Okay, thank you. One thing that I wanted to talk about is our wood debris. For example, we had our windstorm back in June, Traditionally, the past few years or so, we've had a contract with DTE Energy. They would come in, grind up our wood debris, and remove it, take it to the power plant in Cassville. They came in late July and ground up the debris and hauled it away from that last windstorm. We've been notified that because of the closing of the Platteville plants, they will no longer be doing that for us or any of the other communities that they've been working with. Bill Johnson and I have been working on alternatives. We've currently we're looking at 3 being investigated right now. Our intent is to have a decision on which way to go by mid-September so that we can have the last of the debris cleaned out by mid-October so that we have room for snow in the winter.
Questions, anybody?
Just a quick correction. You said Platteville plants. You meant the Cassville power plant, right? Just so everybody
I'm
knows
sorry,
what you're talking about.
the
That's okay.
Cassville power plant. That plant is closing. It used to accept the wood debris to burn, and since they're closing, they won't be accepting anymore.
Yep. Thanks, Howard.
And Joe, I believe you have something.
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know who wasn't already aware of it, that we received word from the Wisconsin Department of Administration that we are the recipients of a community development block grant to help with the former Pioneer Ford redevelopment for up to $500,000. So it's the maximum amount that we are entitled to. So
Wow.
great news. And Angie Wright is here. She did the heavy lifting on the grant application, so she did a great job.
Thanks, you guys.
It's good news. Thank you.
You do it on vacation?
First action item is contract 615 moving Platteville Outdoors, the bridge.
Yes. We talked about this last time. This is the second of our 2 contracts for the MPO project. Earlier, the council approved the contract for paving and lighting, and this one is to construct a new bridge over the Roundtree Branch along Valley Road to connect the different parts of the trail. We split it up into 2 parts because we felt that there may be some contractors that were more experienced at the paving and others more experienced in the bridge. We opened 5 bids for the project. The low bidder was Rule Construction. They also are the paving and lighting contractor, so it helps us in that regard. We also had an alternate bid to increase the bridge rating to allow light vehicles to cross for maintenance purposes. The alternate bid would increase the price by $3,500 for a maximum price of $180,938.45. We have received concurrence from the MPO committee that we should include alternate A to include the heavier bridge so that we can allow light vehicles for maintenance purposes in the future. At this time, we do not intend to plow that bridge or the trail, but what we're saying is at some point in the future, 3, 5, 15 years from now, if the council and the community did decide to plow it, it would be very cumbersome for them to use a light pickup truck, stop, get off, shovel the bridge by hand, and go on from there. So we think that that's the best way of going. We do have enough money in the project for this. It reduces our contingency slightly. As you recall from the previous paving and lighting contract, where we save our money is in the lighting portion, and we'll be discussing that coming up later on. So staff is recommending that the council award the contract 615, including alternate A, to Rule Construction in the amount of $180,938.45, subject to DNR approval.
I will note that 2 people have registered in favor of the MPO bridge, Tom Nelson and Jan Weber. Any questions from the council members?
My question is, you have in here, and Dan does also from Delta 3, a small truck. What's a small truck? S10, Ranger, Ram 1500 Silverado, 1500 Sierra?
We're talking,
Small truck.
we're talking a light pickup, half, 3/4 ton pickup truck with a plow blade on it.
And how would that be comparable to 1500? Is that a 1500?
I think that's what it is, yeah.
1500s are half tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion, we approve contract 615 with alternate A to build a bridge for the MPO trail,
I'll second it.
awarded to Rural Construction.
Sorry, I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next item is contract 715 for Circle Drive sewer replacement and also another bid for the Keystone Walmart bike path project.
okay. This is a combined project. Last year, we bid late in the fall to do the bike path that goes from from Keystone Parkway up between Walmart and Menards. And the low bid was over more than 15,000 over the budget. So we decided not to award the bids last year, hoping that things would be a little bit different, a little bit cheaper. What we did was, when we did this, we also included Circle Drive sanitary and storm sewer replacement and some storm sewer outfall repairs. The Water and Sewer Commission yesterday approved the sanitary sewer replacement. The university, we're working with the university, and they're paying for those storm sewer replacement costs. So in your staff memo, the university is responsible for a little bit over $30,000 worth of storm sewer and outfall repairs. The water and sewer utility approved the slightly more than $31,000 worth of sanitary sewer project. The bike path comes in at $76,148.29, and we had budgeted $80,000 for that. It is under budget, and it is approximately $14,000 less than what we had bid last year. I believe that the tactic worked, and I recommend that we award the bid to Iowa Grant Trucking in the amount of $137,432, and that includes all three projects put together.
Well, I have a question for Howard. Which portion of that 80,000 that we had was city money, and wasn't there some donated money included in that? I just would know what the proportions were.
As part of the developers agreement with Walmart, they put in some of that money. I'd have to look it up exactly. I think it was about 24,000. There's another portion that was being put in by the Keystone Development group. I'd have to look at those numbers. I think that was $12,000 to $15,000, and the remainder is programmed out of TIF $5.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Or a motion?
I move to accept the bid of $137,432 for the company listed Iowa Grant Trucking.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Next item is moving Platteville Outdoors MPO request for funding.
I'll get started, and Gene Weber is here. I'm sure that he'll be more than happy to expand upon everything. But at the last meeting, he requested an additional $85,000 in order to match the 1/6 amount originally pledged. And he also asked for another $50,000 to be designated as a contingency fund to be used as a last resort. So the maximum additional funding would be $135,000. Funds could be pledged from either 2015 or 16. After I've looked at this and the schedule that Rural Construction is looking at on dividing up the work between 2015 and 16, I think that we can in fact cover the 2015 expenses with our current donations and matching grant monies. So if the council wished to pledge these amounts, they could come out of 2016 funding. If you wish to allocate from 2015 funding, it would require a budget amendment. So we're looking at different sources of funding. Some of that is TIF 5 funding and other monies. Graham funding. Since the printing of this, we have found out that the $30,000 allocated in the budget for auditorium work is not needed. We spoke with the head of the Friends of the Auditorium Group, and she said that at this time they don't have any plans for that money. So you could allocate up to $39,000 roughly in Graham Fund money, if that's what you wanted to do.
Just out of curiosity, Howard, where does that set us back on our 2015 and our TIF 5 payment? How does that extend that? I guess I should ask Dwayne. Because obviously we're in line to be paying this off in 2018. We keep borrowing from that. That's going to extend our payoff. Once we're past 2018, the interest rates are going to take a jump. And I have a pretty good idea when they gave us the minimum of 3.5 to 5 something, it's probably going to be closer to 5.
You're correct in those statements, yes. I mean, we don't really know what the TIF dollars we're going to receive the next couple of years yet. I mean, there is additional improvements on buildings going out there, so there will be more taxes, but right now we don't know exactly the amount that's needed, but the earlier we pay off that loan, the better, probably.
Okay. Do we have any idea what this, if we take, Howard's mentioning TIF, he didn't say how much from TIF, but if he had a number for us, I guess we could see how that would extend our payment, correct?
He said 135 in the memo.
From TIF? Okay.
Up to.
Up to, yeah.
Up to, all right.
I think it's on us to decide if we want it to come from there.
So what's our payment? Can I ask you that in a meeting like this? What our payment is each month now on the TIF, or annually?
Well, we basically pay as much as we can.
Okay, so the more we have, the
budgeted,
more we can
so,
put into it, all right.
There's a certain amount that we receive, over 900,000 each year from that, and we owe like $3 million or something, so it'd be cutting it close for the 3 years. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you guys tell me what I maybe missed this, what's the Graham Fund?
The Graham Fund monies are monies that were given to the city by Robert and Marion Graham quite a few years ago. It was originally given for the purpose of a swimming pool at the high school, and if not used, then it was given to the city of Platteville. It was given to the city of Platteville, and a number of grants were issued for quite a few years, and those funds are, part of it went to the community foundation and part of it stayed with the city, and this is the remaining amount.
Okay. So it doesn't have strings attached necessarily, or that?
It's for cultural, recreational purposes.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you.
We do have some people who have registered in favor of support of the MPO trail contribution, so I'd like to read that now, just so that we include that information. In support, Chris Wright, Catherine Burke, Gloria Stuckey, Tom Nelson, and Jan Weber. all of whom have registered in favor but have not asked to speak. We do have three individuals who have asked to speak, so I think I will ask those folks to come forward now, and then we can continue our discussion. So, Ron Wire, Angie Wright, and Jean Weber, and I think I will let the three of you decide which one would like to go first. Looks like it's gonna be Jean.
Made 3 calls to him today. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gene Weber from 1285 Union Street, and I'm here representing the Moving Platteville Outdoors project group. Obviously, I need to start out because this has been a 19-month fundraising project. I need to thank the City Council, Building Platteville, the Platteville Community Arboretum, and the Platteville Community Fund for the leadership on this project, and also the significant turnout by our community in terms of their involvement in 28 fundraising projects and our local businesses for all the contributions that they have made, and anybody else that I may have left out. At the last council meeting, I promised you a financial update, and as of the end of the day yesterday, since our last council meeting, we lowered the gap needed to fully pave and light the trail from $137,850 to $111,482. So we've actually brought in the last couple of weeks, $26,368. Where does that put us? Obviously, we need $111,482. At the last council meeting, we asked the council to consider $85,000, which must be made available or paid by the 31st of March 2016. If the city chooses to do that tonight, that would leave us with still a balance of $26,482 that we would need to raise by this Saturday, somehow, some way. I should point out again, as we talked last week, that the MPO group has set aside, as part of the total cost, $34,000 in contingency funds. And as I mentioned last week, we do consider that a little low. What could the city of Platteville gain out of this project? You will be getting a $1.67 million amenity for the community for whatever amount the city itself ends up committing totally. Likely, it will be the only lighted trail between Madison and Dubuque, Iowa. And it will be a draw for new residents, tourists, industries, professionals, bikers, health-oriented people, and many diverse folks. I shared a lot of information last week. I'm going to cut it short here because there's a couple other speakers. If you have questions now, I'd be happy to answer them. If you want to wait until the other speakers speak and then you have questions for me, whatever meets your pleasure.
A question about the contingency. It says on page 2, item 2, 50,000 contingency fund with the goal of not to use it. So if we don't use it, who gets the 50,000? It goes back to the city?
Yes.
Goes back to the city. So actually you're looking at 34,000, right? 35?
We have 34,000 as already in our budget, Ken.
But you're asking the city to contribute 85,000. I thought that was the number.
85,000, yes.
Plus the 50.
Plus the 50.
Plus the 50. At this stage, though, what I've shared with you tonight is exactly what we've got left to raise by Saturday. So whatever you choose to do as a council will indicate to us what we need to do between now and Saturday to fully pave and light the trail. You have all the financial figures that I think you need to make a decision.
Question, Gene? If that 50,000 is available from the city, that would go into your contingency fund that you already have 34,000?
No.
So you'd have a total of 84 in a contingency fund?
No, the project itself, the 34,000 would continue in that project.
In your
From my
contingency fund or
perspective,
usable?
if you choose to set aside an extra 50,000 as contingency, that should be simply in some different account in the city, with the understanding that if it's needed, you'd have that to draw on. But that's really your decision. Right now, the thing that we're most concerned about from a project standpoint is between right now and Saturday, raising $111,482.
Okay. Now, none of that money is included. Your contingency fund is just what it is. It's sitting there in case you need for something else, correct? Your 34,000 in your contingency fund that you have, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And Howard, do you want to expound on that at all?
Well, that would be for unforeseen conditions.
I'm asking.
Every project, when you do something, there's usually something that comes
Sure.
up. There's a little extra gravel that you need here, a little bit you need there, and that's what that would be used for. But what we're saying is that on a project of this size, that number is relatively low. There's a lot of unknowns with the bridge. We did soil borings to find out where the rock was and different things like that. Around here, you know as well as I do, you can drill a hole here and the rock can be at one level. You can drill a hole 2 feet away and the rock can be at a totally different level. And so, those are the kinds of things that would end up we would have to use a contingency for.
I understand all that. What I meant was, when I talk about the other 50, you're gonna have two different contingency funds then, is that correct? The one that you have for the trail, Gene, that's one.
That's one.
Then the 50,000, you're also asking the city for a $50,000 contingency fund, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If you choose to set that.
Right, but yeah, that's what we have to look at tonight.
The reason for that, Mike, is, as you're all well aware of, this has been a community-wide fundraising effort. And the community is burnt out of fundraising for this effort. And as an MPO leadership group, come this Saturday, we're cutting that off. We're not going to ask the community for any more. I mean, it just makes sense at this stage.
Okay, now, I understand what contingency funds are for. If you don't reach the total dollars you need to do everything, okay, the 111,000, whatever, okay? Is that contingency fund then gonna be part of that, or is it gonna sit back for other unexpected things that hop up? Are you gonna use it for that, or finish that off?
That is a very good question. And it's my personal belief that in terms of priority, we should be funding the 111,000 first,
Okay.
and the further contingency as second. It just makes sense that we should fully fund the project before we add any more to the contingency. But that's just my point of view.
No, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
You've been there the whole time, so you would know.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So I'm just trying to get a total of what we might be looking at here then.
Yep.
We might be looking at the 85,000 that was requested and an
Correct.
additional 50, so we're at a total of about 135, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other
Jean-
questions?
One quick question. So if we do commit the 85 toward the grant tonight,
Yep.
the PCA would still be shy about $26,000.
You mentioned
MPO, the
yeah.
MPO. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So just as a public service announcement, you're basically still accepting donations from the community, and they can do that by
Saturday.
and how?
They can submit a check to PCA PO Box 302, Platteville, Wisconsin.
Okay, great.
Thank you for the question.
Any other questions for Jean? Okay, Jean, right now I'm gonna ask Ron Wire then, or Angie, whichever one would like to speak next.
Notes on the funding, there's some can be come from 2016 and some from 2000.
Hi, Angie Wright, 910 Seymour Street. And as you know, I was the grant writer for the DNR grant and most of the other smaller grants that this project has received. And as a member of the Platteville Community Fund Board, I also was the lead on the residential door hanger campaign and that residential fundraising drive that the Platteville Community Fund held. So I played a couple different roles. I'd just like to thank the council for their previous support, and I ask you to again support this additional request for funding. This project has really generated a tremendous amount of community support, as you've heard from everybody else. And I also want to let you know that I've actually received at least 3 phone calls or emails from other communities asking how we did this, asking for tips on how their community can do this. I've had people ask me if I'd be willing to write grants for them, which so far I've said I don't have time to do. But, so this is getting that attention not just in our community, but throughout the state and in other regions as well. And I guess I've been very proud to be a part of it and to live here in Platteville and to see our community step up for this project. And in addition to the high level of public support for the project, I think it's important because, as I mentioned the last time I was here many months ago, that I think this project also supports city goals. Your comprehensive plan has several goals and objectives that this project directly addresses. In your transportation section, there are goals and objectives related to developing and maintaining a coordinated and balanced transportation system that provides a variety of choices among transportation modes, provide a continuous and interconnected bicycle route and trail network to encourage both commuter and recreational bicycling. Another third one is improving pedestrian connections to enhance walkability in the pedestrian environment. And a fourth one is to strive to assure individuals of all ability levels have transportation choices that allow for a healthy and active lifestyle. So I guess I just want the City Council to realize that these are goals that you as a city, or we as a city, have adopted as part of our comprehensive plan, and this project directly supports those goals, and I think that's important as well. You know, in addition, you've heard this many times, but there are all kinds of social, economic, and health benefits of trails. You've all gotten this before, but I have a pile here, so if you'd like another one, I'd be happy to hand one out to you. And I guess a more recent study that's come out, I think, since I put this together is researchers at the University of Minnesota and University of Missouri worked together on a project looking at non-motorized trails in municipalities. They also looked at parks and natural areas, and they found that non-motorized trails led to a direct increase in physical activity and lowered childhood obesity rates. Parks did not have this impact, nor did recreational green space areas. It was non-motorized trails that showed this correlation with lower childhood obesity rates. So I think that's important given the state of our general society right now. And I guess lastly, I don't know how many of you receive the email that's called the Efficient Gov. It's a newsletter that comes out about once a week. It talks about it's aimed at municipal leaders and provides information on innovative solutions to fiscal and operational challenges. That's directly from their newsletter. But I'm amazed at how often this newsletter posts information about bicycle and pedestrian projects across the country. Just a couple examples that have come through in just the past few months are more bikes and walkers equals safer neighborhoods, how and why cities are catering to bicyclists, an article about Coronado receives $90K active transit grant to develop a strategy to improve walking and biking, and Solana Beach unveils bicycle and pedestrian improvement strategies. So this is stuff that's happening across the country, and I think it's great that Platteville is also making efforts to do this. You know, our round trip trail connects our community and provides opportunities for recreation, exercise, social interaction, commerce, and transportation. I think it's the MPO project is just a great example of what we can do when we all work together. I'm excited to be part of the project and proud of our community. And I think this is an investment that will improve the quality of life and provide benefits for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Ron Wire. I live at 1065 Walnut Dell Road. I am in the extraterritorial limits, but I speak to you as a fundraiser, and Gene asked me to do that. And my perspective is just a little bit different. We talk about the Platteville Community Arboretum and moving Platteville outdoors. What do community and Platteville really mean? Having been involved in the fundraising both inside and outside of our community, that would include the periphery of Platteville. We also hung door hangers. I have strengthened my perception of our community. At a recent meeting with Brad Biddick of Biddick Inc. and Rural Route 1 Popcorn, he said it best. Platteville is the most desirable community to live in southwest Wisconsin, as demonstrated by the support its citizens show at any level of need. Biddick Inc. recently made a substantial donation to MPO. That's a Livingston operation. I've been to Cuba City. We've asked Channel 3 through Queen Bee Radio to make a donation. This isn't just the surrounding border of Platteville. This thing goes way out. I'm originally from Mineral Point. I've advised people to come down and just try the trail down here, and especially go to Katie's Garden. They come, they buy food, they go down there, and they just cannot believe what we have here and what we're building. Even though the trail is located inside the city limits, the trail will be used by many neighboring area residents who will bring their billfold to shop, eat, and enjoy our great community. In the movie A Field of Dreams, the inspirational quote, "Build it and they will come," could not be more applicable than the completion of a bike trail in Platteville. I have recently visited other communities where recreational trails have been built, such as Lynchburg, Virginia, and Decorah, Iowa. The spirit of their community lives silently on those trails. Numerous enhancements have been added as they built their trails. Gene tells me that upon the completion of the trail here, there are private individuals who want to put artwork and benches and other desirable things, and that's what you see in Decorah, Iowa, and in Lynchburg. It's just phenomenal. So let's complete the trail and create the legacy for our children and grandchildren, and thank you for letting me speak.
So the only individuals that I have registered to speak. Council discussion.
Well, for my part, I do not favor using the City Hall CIP. At $135,000 there, I would like to see the City Hall renovated, improved. It does present an image as far as people coming to our chamber, to our City Hall. Secondly, Graham Fund. There is still use for this money. The auditorium is not air conditioned. This is one of the limitations as far as the auditorium. So there's a lot of potential there as far as usage of the $30,000. So I do not favor using those two sources. I guess the other comment I have is, and I brought this up before, is what we're not hearing here is Platteville's contribution as far as the city in the future. It's one thing is to build the various things, the next thing is to keep them up over the years. So the maintenance, and Howard, I think you addressed a little bit on that, how much is going to be paid for maintenance as far as from the Arboretum? Is there going to be some money coming from them for maintenance? But the big share of it is going to be on the city to pay for. Is that correct? So that's something I look at as far as contribution tremendous contribution there as far as maintenance over the years.
You had a question, or you were gonna answer, Howard?
Okay. We had provided an estimate that was in the budgetary figures, and Gene, as a representative of the PCA, had pledged up to half of the cost up to a certain amount. I think it was $2,500 for paving maintenance per year.
2,500 per year? Did you say 2,500? Per year.
That was matching funds, Gene? Matching what the city, that would, you guys would match with the city?
Gene, I'm gonna have to ask you to come back up to the
Sorry about
microphone,
that.
please, so that people viewing this can hear your response.
The commitment the PCA made for paving maintenance was to match the city up to 2,500 in any one given year.
Now, let's say it's paved every 10 years, 15 years. You're gonna take 2,500 times 15, that's gonna be your match?
The agreement that PCA made was up to 2,500 for any given year. You got to remember, Ken, PCA is a small nonprofit organization, so their commitment is something that they can afford and handle, and what their commitment was up to 2,500 in any one given year.
So if it lasts 10 years, then they're gonna pay 2,500.
Well, yeah, but
They
if,
wouldn't pay
for example,
25,000.
if there's a washout that requires paving maintenance, the PCA in that year will match the city for up to 2,500 for that year. When the sealing is done, that has to be done periodically. PCA that given year will match the city up to a maximum of 2,500.
In other words, Gene, you're not gonna be putting 2,500 a year away each year in case. It's just only on the incident, correct?
One.
Yeah, the PCA commitment has always been up to 2,500 in one given year, and the reason it was stated that way, and it was in the first time this discussion came up, in your document where that was covered, it was specifically stated that way. And it was to assure that PCA could make its financial commitment. Now, we believe that PCA can do that. Obviously, PCA is a nonprofit organization, and any one of those could, end someday or not. But what we wanted to be sure of is any commitment we made to the city, we could definitely honor for the life of the nonprofit group. And 2,500 was that figure.
My next question is, what has been the history for these trails as far as vandalism? Can you give us any insight? Anybody here?
Personally, I cannot.
Lights, I mean, here in town, we get street signs pulled out, street signs bent, etc., stolen. What about vandalism? Any history you can give us on that?
Maybe I can address that too, is I'd helped several years ago put signs up on the trail, so we got really nice trail signs out, and I don't think they've been touched. They've remained unvandalized for 2 years now, approximately.
I would concur with that based on my knowledge. I've not seen any of the trail signs touched or vandalized.
I also haven't seen the benches vandalized. Some have been there a long time.
I'm trying to get an idea.
Well, I want to respond about the City Hall CIP. This would be the second year, and I highly feel we should use that money, because I do not believe we can.
Gene, hold on a sec, please.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
okay. I do not believe we can start the City Hall projects this late in the season. So I think we need to use that money in the most important initiative for the city. And I think we can look again next year to look at financing the City Hall Task Force recommendations, putting that information or monies into the 2016 budget. So as far as that $135,000, I highly recommend we use that money for this project. And then as far as the $39,000, it was my understanding, based on what was just mentioned from Howard, that that money for the auditorium is not going to be used this year. They do not have a plan, the Friends of the Auditorium do not have a plan for use of that money this year. So though, as far as those two monies, I feel we need to definitely promote that into this project. The TID financing, I also feel we're looking at 2018, 2019. Well, a lot of things happen in a number of years from now. I also want to mention that in my thinking about this and speaking to people, I feel, and I always did, when I came to town 35 years ago and worked on campus in residence life, we had the Bears football team came to town for 18 years, and many amenities were done on campus to help with that function. Well, since then, UW campus has residence life, residence halls, that may not be used every day. And one of the things I always thought would be appropriate is a bike marathon, or what's the proper term, that would come through the state like they have in Iowa. And this would be a great stopping point before they get to the river to rest, find decent housing, food, the whole thing. And I think having this trail would be one of the greatest amenities. People in this nature want a decent, flat, secure environment to ride their bikes, and their friends who come, because obviously the families do come along in vehicles. So I mean, I really highly recommend we finance based on what's recommended here by the staff. We did ask, the last time we met 2 weeks ago, we asked the staff to come up with some financing options. And I highly recommend we take advantage of these financing options that they put together in this report.
I'd like
to add one thing to your comments, and that is some of the current folks on the city council and the city staff, when they made their decision whether they were going to come to Platteville or not, part of their decision-making was made based on the fact that we had a trail here that we had in place and that we were talking about improving. And I think those are just a couple of examples of the entire community and the impact this trail will have. Not only does it bring us good council members, but it brings us other good people to serve our community. Mike, I believe you had a question.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry to have you stand up there so long, Gene.
That's okay.
But one thing I have not heard, and maybe it's just because I haven't heard it, but I know there's a small group of people that work diligently, very hard to get this trail going. Your group and all the people involved, and it expanded upon all the other people that were involved with it. I haven't heard one thing, though, about the trail, okay? It started out as who will the trail belong to when you're done? Is it still going to stay your trail, or does it become a city trail?
The trail, the easements, the legal rights to the trail have always been the city's.
Okay.
PCA is simply a volunteer group that tries to help maintain and add amenities along the trail. Some of the initial start of PCA involved the startup of Katie's Garden. We did a lot of fundraising there. After that, and I don't know the exact order, eventually there was a community need for a dog park and the idea was to have it along the trail. PCA helped raise the initial funding for that, And then just as with Katie's Garden, with the Katie's Garden Committee, there's a dog park committee that now maintains that dog park. Anything that PCA starts and develops, we want to make sure there's a committee there that's going to help with the future maintenance of it.
One other thing we haven't touched on, but I think it was mentioned a while ago, when we're talking about the location of the trail, there are areas along that trail that'll be maintained in the underbrush and keeping the trail clear and stuff like that. Is that going to be part of the Moving Platteville Forward Trail folks, keeping that taken care of?
Well, the Moving Platteville Trail Committee, as soon as this trail is built, I suspect that committee, which involves 3 nonprofits in the city, I expect that's going to be disbanded.
Okay.
As far as PCA's future role in the trail, I see us continuing to mold the trail sides. There's going to be like 3, 4, 5 foot along the trail. I see us continuing where there's interest to develop other things along the trail. I see us specifically doing environmental things along that trail, adding native plants and helping get rid of invasives, that kind of thing. But that is all going to depend on what the current PCA board of directors wants to do and plan each year, and based on the amount of volunteers and contributions that we can get to help do that. I don't see this PCA group going away. I think you have seen yourselves that you've got, over the past few years, many good council members coming out of the PCA group. I expect to see the talent in that group to continue there. But it is a nonprofit volunteer group, so it's based on volunteers.
So right now, we don't really have anybody designated that we can sit here and say, okay, you need to cut the trail back. Once the trail's all put in, who's going to maintain keeping it cut in? Because I know what it takes, because I've
You just said it was the PCA.
No, he didn't talk about, he talked about doing things, but not cutting brush and
You
cleaning
did say
it.
it was the PCA that would continue to do it. That's who's been doing it for the past
You just talked about
decade.
mowing the edges, but not cutting all the brush and stuff back. That's what I was asking.
Well,
about.
we
Well,
worked the same thing in most
You're,
cases.
Mike, the trail's going to be 10 foot wide.
Right.
It's going to have a minimum of 3 foot to be mowed.
Yep.
And if you're going to mow that 3 foot on each side, obviously the brush has to be at least 3 foot away
Okay,
from
I
the
was just
trail.
curious who was going to take care of that, because I know what a job is. I used to cut Utleys.
The mowing is going to be done by PCA.
And I want to add that having been a past PCA board member, I am so impressed with what a small group like that pulls off. They mow it regularly, and they have been for how many years now?
Yeah. And
How
if
many years has the PCA been mowing it? Because it was the Friends of the Round Tree.
branch until 2004, and then it became
So the
PCA.
past 10 years, the PCA has been mowing that regularly, which is an amazing track record. I just want to point that out.
Yes, and I should add to that, PCA sees that it gets mowed. There are many volunteers, including some of the businesses along the way, that help with that mowing. But PCA sees that that is done.
Cool.
Who cleaned up after the tornado? Did your group?
Yes.
So you-
But again, when that tornado occurred, the next morning, we had people go through the entire trail. And the worst section was behind Dunkin' Donuts to Culver's, right behind there. The PCA group was in there starting to clear that out, but we had a lot of local business and DNR help with that, just as the whole community did. I don't want to leave you with the impression that PCA is doing it all ourselves, because anything PCA is doing involves our community volunteers that may or may not be members of the Platteville Community Arboretum.
I know some of the Rotary members brought their kids and they went looking for trash behind all
Absolutely.
the trees they couldn't get into.
Absolutely. And that's a constant thing year in, year out.
Thanks, Gene.
Thank you.
Getting back to Mike's question about brush, I assume then that the city is gonna be handling the brush aspect. Because like this year, it was like living in Amazon jungle as far as growth of brush.
I'm not sure I'm following you
Well,
there.
you're talking about mowing along the trail, but there's also gonna be trees to be pruned and brush to be pruned back. Who's gonna do that? You're not gonna do that. They're just gonna be doing the mowing.
Ken, I think the best way to answer that is to say, who has been doing that since 2004? Has the city been doing any of that since 2004? Or has it been the volunteers that may be PCA members or other volunteers that we've gotten? I believe that it has been PCAs or people that have been volunteering. I don't believe the city has done any substantial amount of that. Howard, can you speak to that at all?
The only time that the city has done anything significant in that trail corridor was in conjunction with everybody else right after the tornado last year. Other than that, the other 8 or 9 years, it has not been the city. Now, you know, if the PCA cuts some brush and they pull it out so that our guys can get to it, and they ask us, can you, can you chip it up? We've cut it up and we've dragged it out to an accessible location. We've done that, but we haven't actually gone in along the trail and brushed it out or done anything like that. It's been, as Gene says, the PCA and other volunteers.
I should add to that, there's university groups, 13 of them, I think, that have a spring and fall work day where they work on a certain section of the trail. 13 different sections of the trails have a university group tied to them for those 2 work days, spring and fall. The whole point is the community is really helping maintain that trail. PCA may do a lot of organizing and guiding, but I don't think it's the city that's doing very much brush cutting or anything else along that trail. And I don't really see that changing.
In the interest of moving this along, because we do have a lot of business to do yet, Barb, you want to say something?
I would just say, I have one question of staff and then a couple comments. I don't see in the proposed funding sources anything about park impact fees. I'm assuming that there would be park impact fees available in 2016 that could be allocated in CIP.
My apologies, yes, there are park impact fees that could in fact also be used for that. I can't remember what the amount was. About 60,000.
About 60,000, and those would be 2016.
16?
They could be
They
allocated.
could be allocated now.
Yes.
They're available now. I do want to say something about the Graham Fund. When the Graham Fund in 2006, I believe that at this time, there was an idea that we would spend about half on parks and recreation, about half on the auditorium. At this time, just about 117,000 has been spent in parks. Nearly 125 has been spent for the auditorium. I don't believe that it's unreasonable to believe that we could even that out and say at least 23,000 could come from the Graham Fund. And Barb, I applaud you because I know how you have been an incredible proponent of doing something in this building, but I also believe that here we sit in August with nothing done, and we allocated $150,000 to do something here. I believe we could take, so I believe there are monies available for this. And
Well, Thank you.
I would agree with that. I'm reluctant to take the whole 150,000
Right, I am too.
for the city hall, because I still believe we need to do some kind of study on this building before the end of the year. The
There's
85,
135.
if you look at the 50,000 as a contingency fund, and then the 85,000, which was originally requested, is needed in 2016. I agree. I think that the council can allocate some funding from the money that's been set aside for City Hall, and also some money from park impact fees, and some money from the Graham Fund. And I think we could come up with 135,000.
I would like to propose
Hold
the
on,
following.
let me make one comment quick. Okay, thanks. I'm trying to get in here in between you two girls. If we could use the 50,000 from the park impact fees to use it for contingency fund, then I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Okay?
And that is exactly what I was going to propose. I was going to propose that we even up the Graham Fund by allocating 23,000 from the Graham Fund. That would leave 15,000, and it would make the split between the auditorium and parks about even. So 23,000 from the Graham Fund, 62,000 from the City Hall CIP budgeted money of 150. That leaves about 90 there, and then use the park impact fee as the contingency.
May I
make
add?
that a motion.
Can I add? Can
We
I
need
add
a
to the,
second on that.
Okay.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
my addition would be that if the contingency funds are needed, maybe it could come back to council for just an approval or a check-in at that point. So I don't know if I need an approval, but it would be nice to know the status of the contingency funds if we do get to that point next year.
Well, I'm assuming that they will bring that back.
They will, but they'll probably have to use
Yeah.
it.
This is,
Remember, the city is administering this, so if it gets to the point where they need to be used, I would kind of expect that Howard would brief you folks on that. Is that a fair assumption?
I would need to work with the city manager and the council to see exactly what you're talking about. Do you want pre-approval from the council before I touch any of that? Or do you just want to be briefed on it as it's being used, if it needs to be used? That's separate items, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear about that.
I would say that any contingency used, it would be my belief that the 34,000 that PCA has as contingency would be used first.
Correct.
And I would see that you would need to provide pretty detailed documentation and as to why there was a need for this contingency.
So basically, you're asking for a report.
Yep.
Right. I would agree with that. I think that's the purpose of a contingency.
That's it with our motion and second?
We have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Yep.
Could you go over the figures again for me?
Sure.
Exactly.
I said to allocate $23,000 from the Graham Fund, to allocate
that doesn't work. It's a dead pen.
$62,000 from the City Hall CIP monies, which were $150,000. That would take that down to 90 something. So that would be the 85, and then to designate the current park impact fee amount, or the park impact fee account as the contingency account, up to $50,000 if required to use it.
And is that out of 2016, that park impact, or is that out of this year's?
I think park impact fees are, I mean, that's
216,
just
right?
a holding account, isn't it?
They're
And they're
multi-year.
They're just there.
It's there right now.
Okay.
Yeah. It's
Doesn't
not
make any difference then.
2015 or 16. It's
Okay.
unallocated money.
So you're
Okay,
saying we have
thank you.
enough money?
Pardon?
You have enough money?
I do.
Okay. I second everything you
that
said.
was- yeah. And Ken, for your information, that would bring the used by park department Graham funds to $139,000, and it would leave $15,000 in Graham money for use in the auditorium, and they have already used $124,000. That would then be $139,000 for the auditorium. So the split would be pretty much equal, although there's probably dollars and cents involved that I'm not getting down to the 22 cents or whatever.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We're going to vote.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes?
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson,
Yes.
motion carries.
Can I make one final comment? Having watched this project evolve over the years, it's been very impressive to me. Well, maybe not even years, it's been pretty quick. But I think it's an amazing return for the city that the city can put in $1 and get $6 back from the MPO group. And that's just amazing. And if any other community organization wants to take on a project like this, I'd hope the city would support any organization just as much. It's pretty exciting. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean.
One clarification question on my end. You've allocated 85,000 and you've set aside 50,000 for a contingency fund.
Correct.
The MPO steering committee, our whole group of fundraisers, is gonna work really hard between now and Saturday to finish off this 26,482 that we need. If we are short on that, it would be, provided it's okay with this group, it would be our intent to cover any shortage of that from our MPO contingency fund, so we can make a commitment on Monday morning to do that whole project. And I just want to make sure we're all in agreement that that's a correct way to look at that.
Yes, because you need to use yours first before ours.
Right.
Okay?
I think we're all clear on that.
I think we're all good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your help. All right, next item, 2016 budget schedule. Aaron.
Thank you. I had this item. Based on our discussion at the last meeting, I made some modifications to our proposed budget calendar for the council to prepare for the 2016 budget. We now have council work sessions scheduled for August 13th, the first one, which will be this Thursday, September 29th, which would be the beginning of a CIP review, and then October 20th and 26th. And so our request is that council members would hold these meetings on their calendars. And then the second item is that we're proposing that the October 13th city council meeting be moved to Monday, October 12th, as both the council president and President Pro Tem will be absent on the 13th.
I probably can't make that.
I assume that meeting will start at 7?
Correct.
Because we have a 4 o'clock, I do believe we have a 4 o'clock Water and Sewer Commission meeting that day.
So yes, it would start at 7.
Okay.
That'd be the second or the third Monday.
That would be the
Second.
second.
Wait a minute, first Monday, third Monday. I'm just looking at my Monday meetings.
Monday, the first Monday would be the Plan Commission.
And third Monday
Right.
is zoning board of appeals.
Right.
Okay. Maybe, be okay.
Anybody else have any comments on this proposed meeting schedule? All right, and we do have a budget meeting Thursday.
Yes, and actually, if we could have a council motion to change the meeting date, the council meeting date.
I'll make a motion to change the October 13th meeting to October 12th at both at 7 p.m., or remaining at 7 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll vote.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stackhausen,
Yes.
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson,
Yes.
motion carries.
And then we do have our workshop this Thursday. I did send in the packet a memo, and hopefully everybody's brainstorming away. And we'll try to get as much accomplished as we can in a under 2-hour time period.
And I know that I said originally I can't be here, and I won't be here because I have previous commitment. Do you want me to write something out?
That would be great.
And the meeting is at the Police Department Community Room, folks.
Correct.
Just so that
Yeah.
you note that and don't come here.
Be mighty lonely.
I may be late, a few minutes.
Doug, you have pretty good lunches over there when we have meetings. Got any leftover money for that?
That's just for PFC.
Oh, we used it all, okay, I knew we did that last one.
Anything else, Karen, or is that
No, it's
cover it?
good.
Okay. Acceptance of grant to senior center from Bader Philanthropies?
The senior center has received a grant from the Helen Daniels Bader Fund of the Bader Philanthropies. It's a lot to say. Out of Milwaukee for $12,000. It's for a one-year program to develop arts and cultural engagement activities for seniors. You have a copy of the contract in your packets, I believe, and this is just to share with you that information and get your approval on it so the city manager can sign it and accept it.
I have a question. Does this grant require any additional expenditure from the city?
None. Built into the grant are all fees for staff, travel, all of that.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we accept, or I guess it's accept, is it accept?
That's
Authorize the signing for this grant.
Second.
Ken was trying to second it, so we're gonna give Ken credit for that one.
I tried to make the motion too.
We'll
Can't
vote.
have everything.
Are you a senior, Ken?
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson.
yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Connie.
Thank you.
Next is Southwest Health Mavis resolution.
Evening. This is just some paperwork. Currently, Platteville EMS is authorized to is authorized as part of the mutual aid box alarm system, or MABUS. It's the mutual aid system that's been approved by the state of Wisconsin. It's gone through the legal reviews, and it was approved by then Governor Doyle as the preferred mutual aid compact. So what the resolution is to authorize Southwest Health, once they become the ambulance provider, to continue to participate, because that authorization ends when the current authorization ends when the transition occurs. So it's just allowing the new service to continue to provide, or to be able to do the same things that we're currently doing for mutual aid.
So is it only municipalities that can?
Municipalities have to authorize it,
Okay.
because the agreement is between the municipalities, not the services that provide the service, if that makes sense.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing Southwest Health to participate in the MABAS as the EMS provider to the city of Platteville.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Den,
Yes.
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes.
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Seaboth Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item, information and discussion, disposition of the Orlo J. Clayton irrevocable trust funds.
Madam President, I'm going to take a seat in the audience during this discussion since I work for the Community Foundation.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, I'll tackle this one. About 2 months ago, the city was notified that we were the recipient of a large trust in the amount of roughly $280,000 from the Orlo J. Clayton Trust. This money was allocated to be used for the maintenance and improvement of Smith and Legion Park. This information was brought before the Parks, Forestry, and Recreation Committee, and they voted 4-0 to recommend putting the money into an investment pool with the Community Foundation of Southern Wisconsin. Within this, they did want to revisit how that money was to be invested, or their recommendation to you of how that money would be invested after further staff input. And we will be presenting back to them after this meeting, but did want to get the information to you as well, just so we could have a good flow of meetings. Within the Community Foundation of Southern Wisconsin, we're able to set up several different types of accounts. The two primary we're looking at would be an endowment fund or a spendable account. An endowment fund, the principal of that money would never be spent, whereas a spendable, you could go back and spend that money at a later date. And we can do a mix and match of that. So right now, staff is recommending, or in your note, staff is recommending that we hold $100,000 into our spendable account in case future projects come up that we do want to spend some money out of that principal, with the remainder going into an endowed account. After the vote tonight, I may recommend upping that to $150,000. But Howard and I haven't discussed that yet. But because some funds were taking out of the park impact fee, I might find it advisable, I would recommend that we increase that amount to $150,000 in case there's future funds that we want to projects that we want to fund.
One quick question for you, Luke, because I don't know this anymore. At one point in time, expenditures, or a lot of expenditures from the park group were also recognized by the council. Now, is this money spendable without council approval? You just bring the information to us, or it can just be used within your park board or the organization, and if you chose to do something and your board says okay, you can spend it without council approval?
No,
How does this work?
Council would ultimately control expenditures based on our normal budgeting process.
All right, thank you.
Well, the park board was changed to a committee.
Correct.
And the idea of the committee was that the council then could control the funding.
Correct. Yes, so the committee is recommending to you.
Yes.
They're not.
There's no longer a park board.
Correct.
Other questions?
My question is on the back page.
Yep.
The 2015, that amount may change, but does this $633,449 represent the total endowment that Parks and Rec will have?
This represents a
recommend as far as 150. You see I'm asking for a question?
Yes. This would include the total amount, including the original 100 that I was recommending stay in the spendable amount. This does not subtract expenditures. This is a copy of an Excel worksheet, so it's if we were to choose to spend that money in a certain year, I could show you how that would affect the earnings. One of the main things I created this for, well, first of all, the committee asked to see what our total in our 4 different accounts that act as endowment funds would look like, which would include the Cyril Clayton Trust, which is held at Mound City Bank, the Parks Endowment Fund, which was created last year, the Legion Park Endowment Fund, which was created last year, and the Orlo Clayton Trust. So the total in that total principal, the second column you'll see there, is that total amount, including whether we choose to keep that into a spendable account or an endowed account. It would be held at the same investment pool, earning the same income. So this is just kind of showing you what the interest on that would look like. So if it earns 5%, what that would look like. And I added the total distribution in there just so you could have an idea of kind of where a break-even point. I guess that's kind of the number I was looking for. So if we're at a 5% interest rate, if we keep that money in that account, it earns 5% roughly over that period. We would, in 17, 18 years, we would be at a point where we would have the same amount as we just spent it all on day one. And we obviously still have that money in there investing and gaining interest in funding future projects.
Okay, my next question is, the funds in the community fund, are they insured? Like we talk about, what, FDIC, I believe is the acronym. Are funds insured in the community fund?
Barbara's shaking her head no, and I'm going to assume that is the correct answer.
Pardon?
Barb is shaking her head no, so I'm going to assume that that is the correct answer.
FDIC is what, $100,000 in a fund is insured? Is that
I couldn't
a
tell you.
number
I believe that's the
correct?
standard where all banks are insured, and I honestly don't know.
This is an investment
This is an
company.
investment. This
So they
isn't,
don't qualify
not
for
one bank.
FDIC.
So these funds are not insured.
Well, not
It's
in
like
a bank.
investing on a stock market, but, I mean, it's not the same, but you wouldn't have that insured either.
These are not CDs. They could be some, but most of it is, all of it, I'm sure.
And then my next question is, are there fees charged? My recollection is that there are fees charged about 2% per year?
Yeah, the fees charged per year have gone down, I believe, every year for the last 5 years. As the total pool there grows, their costs haven't grown in proportion with that. So the more and more money they've gotten into the pool, and I believe they're up to about 43 million in their total funds. So there's roughly, I believe last year was 1.13%.
314.
1 point some percent. So yes, there are fees associated with this. It is a nonprofit though, so those fees are less than you would be able to find generally in most accounts that you'd be able to invest. Further, the city is unable to invest themselves in accounts like this, which is one of the benefits of investing through a committee or an organization like this, is without this we earn very, very minimal interest where we're generally losing to inflation year after year. So if we're looking to hold this money for a longer period of time, it makes more sense to go through an organization like this, treat it like, as Amy was saying, kind of like a retirement account where you're looking to make that money grow a little bit more for you. If we're looking to spend it right away, this wouldn't be a good option.
This question, we've talked about this before. As far as distribution, would the park committee have to write a grant to get the money to use it?
I wouldn't describe it as a grant. We would need to show that these allocations meet the qualifications that are set up within the initial agreement. So for this particular account, they need to be shown that we're using this money for Smith and Legion Park. If we show that, it will be allocated. So,
And the committee would work on that project, right? Coming up with the plan?
staff committee, I hope to have public involvement. I mean, as you can see kind of in that sheet, I mean, this could turn into, we hope this will continue to grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're able to fund large projects. But already, with that initial amount, you're looking at, if assuming 5% interest, 35,000 once all that money reaches its 12 trailing quarter investment period.
Any other questions, Ken?
I just
Otherwise,
wanna-
I'd like to move along because we do have a closed session to go
I
to.
had another one, but I'll ask him in private.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Mr.
Take a
Peters?
motion to adjourn.
Well, no, my comment was that we do have other trust funds that have placed their money in these accounts, monies from other
Oh, yeah,
individuals,
yeah, I know.
so.
Right. All right,
Make a motion?
a motion to go into closed session.
Yeah, are we ready for that one? I gotta get the sheet out, wait a
Here,
minute.
should I read it? Closed
Go ahead,
session,
go.
motion to go into closed session per Wisconsin statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investigating of public funds, or conducting of other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Library block project. You want a second?
Second, yeah.
A motion and a second, and we'll vote.
Den,
Yes?
Doss,
Yes.
Stockhausen,
Yes?
Nall,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Nichols. People Wilson,
Yes.
motion carries.
10-minute